Hello and welcome to my channel, Talisman Tarot. In this reading I want to ask the cards and Spirit directly through channeling about what your future children will be telling their therapist about you when they go to therapy, when they are older. What will they say about their childhood, the childhood that you're going to be providing for them? What will they say about your parenting techniques? Stuff like that. And yeah, if there's some dirt there, like something, a little bit interesting, just to know, like it's good to know beforehand, if your future children will be bad-mouthing you to a therapist, it would be good to know. Then you can change certain things and make sure that it doesn't happen. So yeah, I have 5 groups here that you can choose from. This will be group number 1, this will be group number 2, this will be group number 3, this will be group number 4, and this will be group number 5. And so I will ask you to use your intuition and choose the group that speaks to you the most, the group that catches your eye, and that group will be your group. And if you need any more time to choose, you can just pause the video. But if you don't need any more time, then just head down to the description box below and find the timestamp for your particular group and click on that, and your reading should appear in front of you. And while you're down there in the description box below, make sure to check out my guide on how to book a personal reading from me. I love doing personal readings for you guys. It's always a pleasure, so please check that out. But let's focus on this reading right here, right now. Choose your group and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, group number 1. You chose this Jolanda Tarot deck, and I'm going to start with some channeling and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 1, the people who will choose group number 1? What will group number 1's future children tell their therapist about group number 1? Okay, so I'm sensing that your future children will tell their therapist that they grew up in a very sheltered environment, that they were very protected, and they might describe it as a bubble, that they were living in a bubble, and they might kind of blame you for that they will probably tell their therapist that they felt like you created this bubble by being a little bit overprotective, and that you didn't give them the freedom that they felt like other children had. But I feel like, I feel like this is nitpicking, because I feel like you're going to be a very intuitive parent. And I think you're going to know when there is actual danger outside, and you will know when it's okay to go out. And I feel like you're going to be able to make that call and know if it's safe or not. And I think you're going to be avoiding a lot of dangers by not giving your children all the freedom that they want, because children want all the freedom in the world. Like, they want to be able to climb the roof. If they were told that it was okay, they would do it, even though they could fall down and get crippled and have to live the rest of their life in a wheelchair. But they don't think about that because they are children. So they don't see dangers, and that is a parent's role, to see the dangers that the child doesn't see and make sure to protect the child from those dangers. It's a no-brainer, of course. Of course you're going to be protective of your children. And so I feel like this is nitpicking. I don't actually want you to change this, because I feel like you're going to be doing the right thing. I feel like you're going to be providing such a safe environment. And yeah, maybe they see it as sheltered. I see it as safe. And like, I grew up in an environment where, or my parents gave me an environment where I was able to have all the freedom in the world. I could go out and play with whoever I wanted to play with. I could just go out when the sun rose, and I could just go back home when the sun set, and that was okay. And I was never supervised, or very rarely supervised. And that was how my parents grew up. So they would, of course, give me that, because that was what they were used to. They were used to this, and so they didn't see a problem in that, because they had they didn't feel like that was a bad thing to do for a child, or do to a child. But was I maybe given too much freedom? Maybe I was, because I don't think it was a very safe environment. Like, the neighborhood that I grew up in, it was not, the best neighborhood. It was kind of shady. Like, all the children in the neighborhood, they knew that there was like a local pedophile who just lived there, and we all saw him every day, and like everybody knew that he was a pedophile and that we were not supposed to talk to him. And that was just the name of the game. Like, that was just okay. Like, everybody knew, and everybody knew that they could somehow protect themselves by, avoiding this person. And maybe that was the only way to, protect ourselves, was to get these pieces of intel from others. But it wouldn't have been necessary if I had parents who just supervised me, like, who was, there and was aware of what was going on. But again, maybe I would have lost something else if I hadn't had the freedom. But looking back at it, I don't think I really, I was happy with the freedom I had, but it did make me wonder sometimes if it was, if it was because my parents didn't care what happened to me, or if it was because they wanted to give me freedom to do whatever, and that I could just be social, and that I had to socialize with the other kids and all of that. And that was a good thing, but there was that one little thought in the back of my mind that was like, well, but what if I got kidnapped? Like, would anybody care? Like, I don't know, but I feel like it's good to give your children some level of supervision, just to make them feel safe, make them feel like they're not alone in the world. So, yeah. I'm going to shuffle and see what the cards have to say about your future children, what they will tell their therapist about you. Okay. I'm going to shuffle some of these Gypsy Oracle cards just to get a little bit more information about what your future children will be telling their therapist about you. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to pick up the cards because it's a whole pile of cards. There's not any of those cards that mean anything, because then it wouldn't have been so many cards that fell down. Like it's like 20 cards. I'm not going to read 20 cards. So I'm going to go with these two, you know, because it seemed like they wanted to be a part of the reading. And so, okay, this is very negative, but it's not negative towards what, like it's more negative towards something that happened before you got children. It's not necessarily something that you're gonna be causing or affecting your children in any way, but like there's not something that you're going to be doing that's going to cause this, but there, like I don't know if something bad has happened in your life, something that might have caused you to have some trauma or some PTSD or something, but like even though this might be in the past, and when you get children, this is something that's not going to be an ongoing thing. It's not going to keep happening. It's going to be something that you will have as a memory, something that still has shaped you, but you're not going to let it affect your children. But maybe it's indirectly going to affect your children, or they will tell their therapist that maybe they felt like because you had experienced something bad, that this might have caused you to overprotect them. That it's maybe like, because maybe, yeah, if you have experienced something in your past where you were not protected, where there wasn't supervision, where you would have wished that there was a parent around you that could have made this stop and made sure that this didn't happen to you, then you probably feel like that then things would have been better, and it would have. And so yeah, you're going to be taking that experience that you have from your childhood, and you're going to implement that experience in a positive way, where you're going to tell yourself that you're never going to let that happen to your children. They will never be in a situation where something bad like that is going to happen to them. And that's great. But your children might see it, like when they look at it as adults, or like as young adults, or maybe even teenagers. I don't know when they're going to go to therapy. I feel like maybe as adults, young adults, but and like I don't think they're going to be going to therapy because of the childhood that they got, but more like I feel like therapy is a good thing. I think everybody should go to therapy at some point in their life. I feel like there's not like, in my mind, there's no stigma to therapy. I feel like everybody should go, and so I feel like that it's a very good idea to, you know, encourage therapy, encourage that everybody becomes the best version of themselves, and also like not necessarily the best version of themselves. I hate that, actually, because, you know, it's okay to just be you. You don't have to be a better you can just live, and that's okay. But sometimes it's good to go back and, you know, get some perspective, and I feel like your children is going to do that, or at least one of your children is going to do that, more to just, you know, get some perspective. And in that therapy, I think they will be maybe talking about how your life has affected you to become the parent that you ended up being. That it's all that maybe you overcompensated a little bit, or maybe went in the other, like maybe you feel like your parents maybe neglected you in a little, in some way, where you feel like your parents weren't really there, and so you want to be there as much as possible, and you want to be as aware of what your children is going through as possible. Of course. And yeah, maybe this is a cause for criticism. I don't know. I don't think so. But of course, if you're going to be nitpicking, and if you're going to be wondering if some things have, like, I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's good that your children is going to come up to this conclusion, because it might make them understand why you didn't give them the freedom to do whatever they wanted to do, because you were given too much freedom and it hurt you. It made you, like, it caused you harm. So yeah, you're not gonna go down that path. You're not gonna make that mistake again, like, or as your parents did. Like, that would be silly. It's like we all live by the experience that we have, and we all change the things that didn't go well, and we do the opposite in order to get a better outcome, obviously. And I feel like, yeah, maybe they will also understand more after going to therapy, understand that there is a reason for everything. And it's not just boo-hoo you, like that they have also something to be grateful for. Because I think it's a privilege to have parents who care so much about you that they want to supervise you, and that they want to protect you and shelter you from the bad. So, I don't know. So, with the Ace of Pentacles, it's right in between 10 of Swords and 3 of Swords, and like I feel like your future children will be talking to the therapist about the two things that might have caused your behavior, the heartbreak, or not heartbreak, actually not heartbreak in this card here, because it's a spider who has kind of, gotten someone in their web. And the thief is here too. And so I feel like there's something here about you. This is not about your children. It's not about your future children. I feel like this is you. This is the conclusion that they are going to draw about you in therapy with a therapist that's going to help them. The therapist is very much going to guide them into understanding this. That I feel like there's something about you having, like, that someone that I feel like yeah, I'm gonna go and say that, yeah, this is a big conclusion to draw on a general reading, and I know that I'm maybe going to get criticism for saying this in a general reading where I'm not supposed to be so specific, especially not about something so delicate. But I feel like the majority of you who chose group number 1 have had experiences with child abuse, where you were abused as a child by someone who might have gotten you in their web, kind of wiggled you into their web and maybe tried to manipulate you and, and talk you into doing things that you didn't want to do, but they might have been very persuasive to the point where they might have persuaded you into not agreeing with it, but where you might have opened the door for it, but not because you did it. It's not you. You're not to blame for this, because you were manipulated into opening the door. You did not have any say in this, because this would have happened anyways. If you hadn't been manipulated, you would like that. Then it might have gotten even grimmer. It might have been like then this person would have gotten in another way. Like they would have found a way to do it anyways, because this seems like a very terrible person, and I feel like there wasn't people around you to protect you, and maybe people around you didn't even believe in you when you told them what happened to you. And I feel like this has of course affected you. Obviously it has. And you were robbed from something, like a thief. Like it's the thief card, like someone robbed something from you, took something from you. And of course you don't, like, of course you want to protect this in your children as well, like so that they don't get robbed from their naivety, like from their purity and from what they have as children, like that children can be allowed to just be children without having to make decisions that are actually supposed to be made by adults, like, and that this amount of, like, of course that the amount of freedom that you might have had as a child might have caused you to have to make decisions where you were accountable for the decisions that you made, when actually it should have been made by your parents to begin with, because they were the one who were sleeping in and not like that they were neglecting you, and whatever you did while they were neglecting you you're not to blame for that. So and so I feel like your children will understand you more in the future. They will understand why you did the things you did, and I think they will also get to a point where they will realize that you were doing this for their own good, out of love for them. That it was good that you were there to make the decisions, even if it was decisions that they didn't like necessarily, because they felt like they were missing out on something more fun. And but I feel like you're going to be good at making these decisions, and you're going to make them intuitively. So yeah, and I feel like you're going to be successful, because when your children become adults, the worst thing they will think back on in their childhood is their lack of freedom. That's the worst thing, which is not a bad thing if you look at it as like, if you look at it from a bigger perspective, like everything else could have, like something bad could have happened, and then they would look back at their childhood and only think about that, because that would have been like a core memory. That would have been like a core event that would have changed them. And I feel like that nothing bad will happen to your children, and it's because you're going to be there to protect them, and you're going to be making decisions for them that will be for their own good. And this is great. So yeah, with the Scholar card and the Ace of Pentacles here together, I feel like you're gonna be like, they're gonna be remembering, your future children are gonna be remembering their childhood as a childhood where they were given a lot of attention, and that you were very aware of them and aware of their skills and talents, and you were giving them confidence and self-worth and self-esteem. And that, I think this is one of the things that they're actually going to look back on, and one of many things that they're going to be looking back on as a very positive thing, that you were very in the future they're going to be saying that you as a parent were very good at helping them with their homework, and making them believe that they could do anything, and making them understand that if they want to do something, if they want to be like an astrophysics, someone working with astrophysics or something, that they can just do that. Like if they want to, they can just set their mind to do it, and they can just work hard, and then they will do it, because they are because there's nothing they can't do. And I think you're going to give them freedom in that sense. You're going to give them freedom of dreaming as big as possible. And I think this is a beautiful thing. You might, as a parent, you're probably going to be a little bit restrictive of them, like walking on roofs, or like, hopping from roof to roof with their bodies. Like, of course, you're going to say, like, that is not a good idea. Don't do that. Keep safe instead. Like, be on ground, because the ground is safe, and don't do something silly like that. And to keep away from, shady environments, and that they, like, you're going to be showing them care in that sense. And I feel like it's good. Yeah, but now I'm going back to that, but I'm not supposed to. I'm going to talk about this here, and you're going to give your children confidence, and give them the freedom to dream, and you're going to show them that like, you're going to tell them that they are good at what, like, you're going to see what they can do, and you're going to be able to tell them, like, you're so talented. And you're not going to just say that, because you're going to be very, very aware of what they do, and you're going to see right through them. And I think you're going to notice their gifts, like the talents that they have from above, like their divine talents, and you're going to be, encouraging them to use it. And you're going to make sure that they pay attention in school, that they get a good education, and that and that there's no pressure either. That I feel like you're going to be good at that balance between, showing them affection in the way of like encouraging them to do whatever they want to do, or but also if they fail at something, you're not going to make a big deal about that. You're gonna be good at balancing them out and telling them that it's okay to fail, because you just have to try again, and that you even learn more from failing sometimes. That it's a good learning experience. And I think your children will grow up to have a lot of confidence in academia and in their education, and they will be very prepared and equipped for their education. I feel like you're going to make sure that they are prepared. You're going to you're going to be helping them with reading and writing and math and stuff like that, so that they are prepared to go to school. And I think you're going to be a very good educator for your children, and they will be very happy with this. And yeah, maybe you're going to keep your children a little bit more in the home than outside playing with other children. But then again, there might also be there might be good things coming out of that too, because, well, yes, some things might get lost if your child is out playing from sunrise to sunset. Then sometimes the homework isn't gonna get done. I know that because that was my childhood. Things didn't get done because I wasn't really home that much, and I was always out playing, and I didn't learn that much because you don't learn very much from playing with children. Of course, you learn something about people and socializing and communicating and stuff like that, but other than that, it's not really a learning experience. And so, well, I think you're going to be also teaching your children from a young age that it's actually fun to read, which I never got. I never got the joy out of reading. I never really understood what it was all about, why people were reading for fun, because I always saw it as something that we only do in school, and it's always for a purpose, and it's never just for enjoyment. And I think I feel like you're going to be very good at teaching your children that reading is fun, and it's the same kind of entertainment as you get from watching television. That it's not different from that, or it's actually in some ways better, because you can create your own images in your head and make it your own experience that only you have, and it's your own little personal screening. And I don't know, I think you're going to be doing a lot of things really well as a parent. And I feel like you should really, if you're already a parent, you should really pat your back, because you're really doing a good job. If you're not a parent yet, I think you're going to be doing a really good job at it. So just do what you intuitively feel like you're supposed to do. If you could maybe give your children a little bit more freedom in a maybe restricted way, where you give them a little bit more space, or something that could maybe make them a little bit less bitter in the future when they look back at their freedom-less childhood, or whatever they would call it, like the bubble childhood. I don't think it's going to be a bubble. I think you know, it's feel like it's a hyperbole. It's not. It seems. It seems like, yeah, of course you're gonna be a little bit of a restricting parent that's gonna protect your children, and maybe take that into account. Like, maybe think about it when you're a parent. Think about maybe giving them a little bit more space, like doing things a little bit more on their own, in a way where you could maybe still see them from the window. Like, you can tell them they can go outside to play, but as long as you can always see them from the window, like, of course, then you would have to stand in front of the window all the time. But like, if you're making dinner or something, then and there's like a window in your kitchen or whatever, then you can tell your kid that they can play outside, but that they can do it while you're in the kitchen. I don't know, like, I don't even know how that would work, because again, I grew up with way too much freedom. I don't know how, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it as a parent, because I don't really know anything else than what I experienced. Like, I only knew that kind of childhood where I was just able to do whatever. And I don't know. But, you know, going to a playground, allowing your child to play freely at the playground, as long as you're there watching, that could be okay. Like, you don't have to, like, be always, like, making sure that they don't fall or something like that, because, you know, the playgrounds are usually rather safe. But I don't know. Just maybe give them a little bit more freedom. That's my advice, I think, or that's the advice from your future children, or what your future children would criticize about their childhood, would be the lack of freedom. So take that into account, or maybe don't. It would be okay if you don't. So yeah, but that's all I have for you. Group number 1. I hope this reading was all right. I hope it was okay, and I hope it was helpful in some way. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 2. You chose this Tarot of Mermaids tarot deck, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 2, the people who will choose group number 2? What will group number 2's future children tell their therapist about group number 2? Okay, I'm sensing that your future children will tell their therapist that you were a very good role model in terms of many things, but not when it comes to showing them how to be in a loving relationship. And it's not because of you, it's not because you were not able to show them that, but because you didn't give love a chance. Or that's how I feel like they would put it with their therapist, that they feel like their mother or father, the one that you are, I don't know which one you are, if you're the mother or the father, but I feel like they will think of you as someone who settled, that you declared bankruptcy on your love life at some point, and you just didn't really care anymore to find someone who actually loved you the way you were supposed to be loved, and that you just found either a random person to have children with, that you did like a Big Lebowski and just found someone that you could use their sperm for, like that it was more like you were just tired of love, didn't really care at that point, just wanted to have children, but didn't really want to have like a partner, because a partner would just have been a hassle for you, and you might have been so independent I'm talking in past tense because this is what they will tell their therapist about their past, their childhood. So it's in the past tense, if that makes sense. But yeah, that they're gonna feel like what you went through, what you went through indirectly affected them. Even though, yeah, I think it was empowering for them to see how independent you were. But it might have made them feel like true love is like a fairy tale, that it doesn't exist. And so if you are single right now and you don't have children, and if you're thinking about just finding someone random, like a random person that you can have children with, or if you're thinking about a sperm donor or something like that because you feel like that's maybe a better way to do it because maybe you want to be a single parent anyways, then I just feel like your future children probably won't approve of that, even though they don't have a say in it, of course. But I think they will feel like that is a cop-out, that it's cheating the system, that it's not how it's supposed to be, and that you're not just cheating the system, you're also cheating yourself from having something good, having something solid. Because even though you can do everything on your own, but why do it on your own if you can have someone to share the load with? And so I'm going to shuffle and see what the cards have to say about what your future children will tell their therapist about you. Yeah, makes sense. So with the Lovers reversed, they will see you and they will talk about you. They will describe you as someone who didn't believe in love. That this also rubbed off on them. That when they go to therapy, this is probably going to be a big part of what they are going to be talking with their therapist about, is that they feel like they feel like they never really saw someone be affectionate with each other. So they didn't have like this, this role model relationship to look up to. And I hate to say this because, of course, I think we all want to give our children the best, the best possible, tools to move on in life. And I feel like you're going to be giving your children a lot of tools. Most all tools you're going to give them, but there's going to be one missing, and that's the key to love. Like that's something they don't have, and they don't understand how to get there, and that this is going to be a problem in their life. And I hate to say that, but of course it will. Because if you don't believe in love, your children are not going to believe in love either. And I don't know how you can start believing in love. Some people just might, like, I don't believe in love. I would find it maybe even a little bit offensive if someone told me that well, but I would understand, I think, but it's not very easy to just start believing in love like from one day to the next. And But I feel like you could change the course of this ship if you started looking for love and started having higher standards. Maybe the high standards have already caused you to not believe in love because you might not have found someone that fit your standards. I don't think you should lower your standards. Maybe change them into different standards. Like not that like you can have high standards, but maybe high standards in terms of how your future spouse will be treating you, instead of maybe looking for a specific type, or finding someone who is attractive, or finding someone who has like a lot of money or something like that. That is, instead of having these standards, you could still you could have high standards, but high standards in terms of ethics and morals and points of view, and good values and good core values, I guess. Yeah. Someone who seems unselfish, someone who seems like they could actually be beneficial. I guess that's also not like. Yeah, it's okay to look for someone who's beneficial, someone who actually would be supportive emotionally, someone who seems like they could actually take care of another person, and someone who doesn't have so much going on in their life, so much chaos in their life that they need someone else to come in and take care of them. Because I feel like maybe you're looking a little bit more like more for that, like that might be the type of person that you have. No, I don't think you're looking for this type of person anymore, but maybe in the past you might have found some people who had potential to maybe become decent in the future, but maybe weren't very decent at the time when you dated them, but you might have kept going because you were hoping that they would change, but maybe they didn't. And so, but I feel like maybe you shouldn't be, maybe don't follow your savior complex, and maybe try to allow yourself to be the one being saved in some way. Like, not that you need saving, but find someone who is there to help you. Someone who wants to help you out. Someone who wants to be there. Someone who seems like a solid rock person, like someone who you can lean on. And yeah, I know it's very hard to find, but if you just keep looking, you will find that person. It will just take a while, but don't settle for someone like the person that you might have been with in the past. Like, don't settle for someone like that, because again, that's just going to end the same way as it did back then. Find someone who seems like an asset, even though I know we're not supposed to just I know that it's hard to fall in love if you're more or less looking for someone that you can benefit from more than like finding that emotional connection. And sometimes it's just hard to balance the two, because sometimes our practical mind goes like it gets in the way of the emotional connection, and maybe sometimes we can find someone who's very nice and someone who seems to want to make our lives better, and they might give us an ick because they are too nice. And I'm just saying that move past that ick and try to see where it goes. And if like sometimes it might take a while, especially if you haven't fallen in love before or haven't really been in a connection where you felt like it was actual love, maybe there is like, maybe you can still find that. I feel like you can. I feel like everybody can. I feel like if you haven't had that already, you just haven't found the right person yet. And yeah, I think it's very necessary. It's necessary for your future children to have a role model in love. And knowing what they deserve in love. Because if they are taught that you're maybe not going to teach them that they don't deserve love, but since you chose not to be in love, that might just be a testimony to them that they don't deserve love because you felt like you didn't deserve it. Even though you might feel like you deserve it, but it's more the whole act of it. Like sometimes actions speak louder than words, and yeah, I don't know. So with the devil reversed, well, they won't talk about you as the problem though. Not necessarily. Like they will talk about you as a problem in terms of you not valuing yourself enough to actually find true love, but they will talk about that as, you know, it's a pity that you didn't find it, or that you felt like you had to stop the search for it because you needed to get on with your life and you needed to get things done in time, and that you were maybe late in the game and felt like you had to rush it, and that they will feel sorry for you. So they won't blame you for this more than they will feel like, well, it won't be a blame game. It won't be something like where they will feel like you were the villain of the story. Not at all. So you're not the devil. In their therapy sessions, you're not going to be the one that they are going to be bad-mouthing. If you're going to be finding a deadbeat that you're going to have children with, or if you have already, if you have children already and it's with someone that you know was more or less just, you know, someone that you thought was, yeah, that you kind of chose this person because this person wasn't going to be in the picture. I don't know. But maybe this, yeah, maybe your future children will see this person as the devil in a way. Maybe they will talk about this person, like the person that you choose to have children with. Of course, if it's a sperm donor, they won't be seeing that person as the devil. But if it's someone who's a deadbeat, then they might, you know, hold that person accountable more than they will hold you accountable for it. And they will feel like that person should have, you know, stepped up. Maybe they don't know the details of this, but maybe they don't know that maybe there is like two sides of this story. But again, it could be that this person is just a horrible person that's just going to be leaving you. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's also like a partially you choosing this person because you know this person is going to leave. And I don't know. It's very complicated to say. I feel like you're very psychic. I feel like you're a very psychic person, a very intuitive person. So I feel like it would make sense that you kind of like that you wouldn't get in a relationship with someone who would like. I feel like you would know already. Like you would know if someone is going to leave you, or like if someone is going to be a deadbeat. Like, you're going to know before it happens, and so you're going to choose it. And I feel like you're going to choose it because, you know, you want to be a single parent. And that's okay. Maybe it's going to be subconscious. I don't know. And it's a choice. It's okay. Like, I don't even know if it's the worst thing that you can do to your child. I feel like since this is the only thing that I feel like your future children will be talking about in a therapy session, that's a good thing. Like, that they didn't have a role model when it comes to their love life. That's not the worst thing that they could talk about in a therapy session. Like, they could have been talking about trauma that they experienced in their childhood or something like that. But I feel like there's nothing like that. I feel like you're actually going to be very good at sheltering your future children from any hurt. And so, yeah, maybe they will feel like maybe they will blame that person, even though you're also accountable, but they won't know that. Maybe they don't need to know. It's maybe okay for them to have like a villain in the story, like, because sometimes we need a villain, someone that we need to, like, sometimes it's good to have someone to be angry with. I don't know if that's necessarily true though. I don't know. It might be too abstract of a concept to understand that, like, that there's a bigger picture, and that you did it for their sake, because they wouldn't have been in this world if it wasn't because you made that decision to just have the children with someone that was a little bit more random than someone that you actually chose out of love, but that you didn't really have the time, and that would maybe be hard to describe to a 7-year-old. Like, it's maybe easier to just say, oh, your dad left, whatever, he lives in Germany now, like, or and maybe, like, I don't know, but and that's also, like, it's very hard to maybe explain to your child, if you chose to have the child with a sperm donor. It might be easier to just say that they have a dad, but the dad lives in another country, or like that it's some other story than, oh, you came in like a little glass, and then like the sperm was like, and that like, I don't know, that maybe it's easier. I don't know, like, maybe it's not easier, because then the child feels like their dad chose not to be in interaction with them, and like, I don't know what's best. Maybe I'm just saying something gibberish, and maybe it doesn't make sense, but But with the Six of Swords reversed, I think your future children will tell their therapist that they felt like you stayed in a bad situation for too long. So this could be for some of you. Like, I feel like there's a lot of different scenarios here. I feel like some of you are maybe going to be like, maybe you're thinking about the sperm donor thing, or thinking about the Big Lebowski way of getting just some deadbeat to you know, trick them into getting their sperm for free. You know, like that is definitely an option, you know, but I feel like you are thinking about options, because I don't think you have a child yet, or some of you don't, but some of you might have a child and whatever. But I think there might be another, and that could be those of you who actually have a child right now with someone. If you do, and this is very specific, but if you do, then I feel like your future children might feel like this person was too much in the picture, and that you should have just left, and that you should have been more consistent in letting that person sail their own boat, and not force them into having interactions with their child, with their children. So maybe some of you are gonna have a child with someone who's a deadbeat, and maybe it's gonna come a little bit as a surprise that they're gonna take that little responsibility as they will. And so maybe some of you are not gonna see it exactly like before it happens. Like sometimes even the most psychic person might not be able to really, you know, foretell everything. Of course, nobody can be 100% psychic, and so especially when it comes to our own life, like it can be very hard to, you know, to read and predict our own life. And so maybe this, and of course I don't want to say, like I'm sensing that, yeah, this reading is very negative. I know that, and maybe some of you are not going to be happy with this reading, and I would understand, because I wouldn't be happy with this reading either. Like if I was getting this reading, I would probably feel like, damn, it doesn't look very bright. And then I would feel like, oh, love is dead. Like after hearing this reading, I would feel like, yeah, I would definitely not believe in love. And so maybe this is also just contributing to this truth that love is really just a myth. And I don't know, but but yeah, so again, this reading could be a whole warning that maybe, yeah, look for the signs, the subtle signs that the person, like, and don't have children with someone who seems like they are struggling with addictions, who seems selfish and seems like they don't take responsibility for anything, and seem like they are always talking about everybody else like the villain of the story, and always talking about themselves as the hero of the story. And if all stories that this person tells you on the first date or the second date or whatever, that if every story is about them and how they are amazing and everybody else are just tools, then there might be something wrong, because then there's two sides of that story and two sides of all those stories. And maybe just look for the subtle signs that this person is not taking responsibility, because, you know, they can show that in other ways. Like if they are late, like that could be the first sign. Like if you go on a date with this person and they are late to the date, they didn't come in time, and if you ask them why didn't you come in time, like why are you late, if they say to you that, oh, it's this and this person's fault and that person was to blame, and oh, and then the cab driver was driving terribly, and then everybody else was to blame. If they say something like that, then you know this person is not taking responsibility for anything. Because if this person was truly taking responsibility, they would have said, I lost track of time, sorry, like that. It's just look for the subtle signs that this person is, you know, a tool. And so yeah, because if they can't even take responsibility for being late, they won't be taking responsibility for their own children. It's simple as that, or maybe not, but it's you can make small tests and test this person. I wouldn't recommend testing people in that way, but you know, just be safe, be careful, because I feel like your future children, they will see it this way. They will feel like you chose the wrong partner to have children with, that you should have chosen differently, that you should have had more self-respect and wanted more for yourself, like wanted true love, and that you should have searched for that and got it, that you deserved that. And so yeah. So be careful out there, people. I hope you, like, I hope that this reading won't end up coming true, because you know the tarot readings, they are not set in stone, because you have free will. These are just these predictions are more like if you keep doing things the way that you're intending to do them at this moment, like, then things are going to go this way. Like, but if you change your intentions and change your mindset and search, and like if you search for something else for yourself, then you can change the outcome. You can change the future. And so this doesn't have to be, you know, this doesn't have to be what your future children will tell their therapist about you. You can change the story. And I'm sorry that the reading was so negative, but I feel like there's a reason for that. I feel like there's a message that needed to come through. Because maybe this is supposed to change something in your life and make sure that this doesn't happen. So, of course, I know that a reading might not really have that big of an impact, you know, it's just a reading and whatever. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the reading here, because, you know, I don't think I have anything to add to this. I hope this reading was helpful. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose the Herbal Tarot, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 3, the people who will choose group number 3? What will group number 3's future children tell their therapist about group number 3 as a parent? Or what will they tell their therapist about their childhood with group number 3 as a parent? Okay, I'm sensing that your future children won't go to therapy. Like they will not really feel like therapy is something that they need to go to, which is a good thing, because not feeling the need to have to go through their childhood memories and their traumas, and like, that's good, because it's a good testimony that they won't actually feel like there is anything to talk about, that they will feel like they had a good normal childhood, and that they had good normal parents, and that there's nothing really that interesting about it that they would feel like they would have to discuss with a therapist. So in many ways, that's good. That's good. But it does make it a little bit more complicated for me, you know, because I don't have this therapy session or this conversation with a therapist to use as a reference. I was supposed to channel that, so I can't really channel it if there isn't a therapy session that I can channel. So I don't really have a source of information like that. So I need to change the question here. So I'm going to ask if they went to therapy, like even though they're not going to go to therapy, but if they did, hypothetically, what would they say to their therapist, to their hypothetical therapist? What would they say? So yeah, Spirit, can you answer that? The hypothetical therapist, what would group number 3's future children say to their therapist if they had one, even though they don't have one, or they won't have one, but what would they say if they went to therapy? I don't really think they would say that much. I feel like they would just sit there quietly, and they would be answering like yes or no to questions that the therapist had to them. Like they would just be saying like, well, like if how was your childhood? Like if the therapist asked them how their childhood was, they would say something like normal. It was normal. It wouldn't be a yes or no. That would not have been a yes or no question, of course. But you know, they would say something like one word to each question. I feel like I'm getting a masculine energy here. I feel like your future children or your future child here, I feel like it's maybe singular. It's gonna be either a boy or a more masculine girl, but yeah, it seems like a little bit more of a, you know, it's like, you know, if a man goes to therapy, it's kind of like, you know, what is there to talk about? Like they or they feel that way. There's of course the whole, you know, the whole what's it called? Like there's a breach there. Like there's a way, like where there's a disconnection between the emotions and you know, yeah, that I don't know. But I feel like this like if they went to therapy, they wouldn't talk about you. Like if they were asked to talk about you, they would say that you were, well, if they were asked specifically about you as a parent, they would probably say something like you were a good parent. And it would be very simple, you know, but that would be the answer, and it's good because they would never badmouth you, and they would never feel any reason to. Because I feel like they see you as someone who provided them with a very good and normal childhood, that there was never any issues, like everything was very ideal, actually. Maybe to the point where it was maybe a little bit boring, you know, boringly normal. That could maybe be something that they could talk about, I guess, but I don't think they would, actually. But you know, Like, I don't think they would describe their childhood as boring, just that it would be, that it was maybe a little bit plain, you know, a little bit vanilla, a very, you know, just very safe, very, like, very filled out with good people that wanted the best for this child that you're gonna have, like, that everybody just see, like, that it's just good. Like, I'm just really not seeing anything bad here. So I don't think they have anything to talk about with a therapist, even a hypothetical one. They wouldn't really, you know, so that's good, but it's also, you know, a little bit dull and plain and boring, and but maybe that's good, you know. It's not super positive either. I feel like it's a little bit, you know, it's too neutral. But again, it could just be because this person is a boy or a man. I don't know when. Of course, when, like, I haven't established when this hypothetical therapy session is supposed to be. Like, is it supposed to be when they're a child or an adult? Maybe I should specify that. So okay, I'm going to specify that. Okay, so if they went to therapy as an adult, which they won't do, but if they did, what would they say about group number 3 as a parent? Nothing. There's really nothing. Like, they wouldn't say a thing. They would just sit there. Why would you just sit there? I don't think your future child is going to believe in therapy. Like, they will feel like it's a scam, which I feel like maybe that is something to criticize. Maybe I'm going to criticize that. Like, I feel like you should encourage your future child to go to therapy, and, like, of course, if they don't need it, if they feel like it's a waste of money and a waste of time, then of course maybe don't. But it might be good to tell them that it's okay to talk about feelings, and it's okay to go through their memories and go down memory lane, and maybe even, you know, process some of the things that have happened, because I can't imagine that your future child won't have, like, one thing, like something that they went through that was maybe a little bit hard. Like, everybody loses their grandparents or something like that at some point, or their great grandparents or something. That everybody experiences some kind of loss in their childhood. And I don't know how your future child would process that, but because they don't want to talk about it, it seems like. But if they did, okay, so I'm gonna go with the hypothetical again. If you're tired of this reading, if you feel like, well, this person is just grasping at straws and it's just boring to look at, then just, you know, end the reading here. You don't have to. I'm gonna end it soon anyways, but, you know, I'm gonna want to, you know, ask, like, what would your future child say to a therapist if they were asked about dealing with some kind of loss in their childhood, how it was, or how they dealt with that, or what it felt like, or whatever they would say, or if they felt like you were there for them, or like how they felt like your role in that was, or if you were good at, you know, being there for them or supporting them or whatever. I don't know. Yes, they would just say yes. Yeah, you were a good supporter, and you were good at telling them that it would be okay, like that everything would be okay. That Okay, so this is opening them up a little bit, because I feel like there's something here. So I think they would say that you were very good at reassuring them about the future, that there was nothing that was too hard to handle, and especially when it came to exams and stuff that was school related, that you were very good at reassuring them that it was that everything would be okay, and that no matter the outcome, that you would love them anyways, and that you were very good at also reassuring them that they were not going to die. Where did that come from? But yeah, that like maybe your child might, like, I feel like your future child will be very a little bit shy, a little bit introverted, but and it's gonna be a little bit hard for you maybe to sometimes figure out what's going on inside them, and it's so maybe it's going to be hard for you to also get any answers out of this child, because it is hard. This person does not give a lot of information or answers or anything like that, but I think this person might, like, in certain situations where, like, I feel like this person is maybe going to ask you sometimes, like when they go to bed, like that they might have like a time between they are like 5 years old or 6 years old. They might have like the very normal child worries. Like children always have these worries when they are that age, where they are afraid of death. Like they get like this sudden fear that they know that death can suddenly come, because they might experience it from, like, either their friend might lose a family member, or they might lose like a great grandparent or someone like that, and they might see that suddenly the life is very fragile, and they might ask, they might come, and I say they might because again, I feel like some of you will have a child that doesn't talk that much about anything, but I'm saying that in a way where I feel like it's not a problem. It's not like this child is not going to be non-verbal. It's just shyness. And I was a shy kid, and I turned out okay, but I don't know if I did, but I'm still a shy person, but shyness, there's nothing wrong with being shy, and it can be hard as a parent to understand the child when the child is very shy, but I think you're going to be very, that was my point, the point I was going to get to, that you're going to be good at reassuring them that they're not going to die. Like when they get into that fit at some point when they are 5 or 6 or 4 years old, that they're going to be asking, if they're going to die in their sleep, or if they're going to wake up tomorrow, if it can be if they can be completely sure about that, like, or if they should be worried, or like maybe because they know like that their great grandmother died in her sleep, or so maybe it's going to raise a fear in the child that's going to make the child feel like, what if that could be me? Like, what if I don't wake up tomorrow, or something like that? But it's I feel like you're going to be very good at telling the child that they're not going to die tonight, and you're going to explain to the child that that the great grandmother died because of natural causes, because of age, and that they shouldn't be so worried because they're just a child, and children don't. Well, you can just say that children don't die in their sleep, even though, you know, some do, but the child doesn't need to know that. Like that is something they can learn when they are older, but like it's good to just reassure them that nothing bad is ever going to happen. Not at least in like, yeah, that maybe it's just good for them to know that. I don't know, but this is a boring reading. I know that. I don't even know what to say to make it more entertaining. But I'm not even supposed to make it entertaining. I'm just supposed to answer the question, and I just feel like I can't really answer the question because I feel like your child is not going to need therapy, which is a good thing. I feel like maybe they do need it though, because of the shyness, is that I feel like maybe the shyness is causing them to not want to go because they don't want to talk to a stranger about their issues or about their potential issues. I don't know if they're going to have any issues. They could just be shy without having issues with it, you know. So I feel like this is, yeah, maybe I'm supposed to, you know, use the cards. This is a tarot reading. Oh well, yeah. Okay, so what would I guess either this hypothetical or like whatever, but we're gonna ask about what will your future child tell their therapist about you, or their hypothetical therapist, if they don't go to therapy. Okay, a lot of cards, but you know, whatever. Sometimes the cards don't really agree with me, but I feel like they, well, maybe, yeah, it's not that many cards, but you know, 7 of Wands reversed. They could tell their therapist or their hypothetical therapist that it might, like they could, they might talk about other things. Like they could talk about things that are not related to their childhood or the childhood that you provided to them. Like they could talk about things where you were not there, like things that happened at school that made them feel like they were, you know, not included in the group, where they felt like they had to fight to be a part of, you know, of a part of the class, or the class, like in the classroom, where they felt like they were left out as maybe but this is a typical thing. I was also bullied, and I think it's because I was shy. I think, well, with shyness, it is a terribly crippling thing to be shy. I know I said before that, you know, shyness is okay and it's great and stuff like that, and all the best people are shy. No, I didn't say that. I just said that I wasn't. That okay, that sounded really bad. Extremely narcissistic of me to say that, but you know, I don't know. But I feel like, yeah, maybe if I hadn't been shy, I would probably have been, I would have been more included, but I feel like maybe the exclusion was also a contributing factor to my shyness, because I felt like, well, there was no point really in trying to make contact with them. So I just became more shy. Maybe in a way to show that I didn't care, like that I was choosing to not be with them. So that I think I got into some kind of pattern of just acting like I was choosing to be excluded, choosing to not be a part of the group. And I even had like some, awkward alternative phase where I was, emo and stuff like that, and was dressing weirdly just to feel like I was choosing to not be a part of the norm, because I felt like I didn't fit in anyways. So I could just, try as much as possible to not fit in, to fit out or whatever. But, I don't know. I feel like your kid is going to have that a little bit. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because I feel like, there is a good part of, just being there. It's a good thing to feel included, but it's a privilege, and not a privilege that all kids get. And it is sad. It is bullying, because exclusion is a part of bullying. But I feel like I don't think your kid is gonna be bullied in an aggressive way. I don't think your kid is gonna experience physical harm or something like that, even though social harm or emotional harm can also be terrible and can be equally as terrible as physical. But this might be able to get, like, I feel like this could be avoided if you're just aware of it, Of course, it's very hard to be aware of it when you are dealing with a child that doesn't say much and doesn't tell you much, where you have to get everything out of them by force almost, where you have to ask them again and again and again to get the real answer, because they are so closed off that you feel like they don't really, it's really hard. And I think I was that way too. And I think, I experienced horrible things, and that was physical though. But I was almost like, choking to death at some point by a terribly violent classmate of mine in middle school or whatever. Yeah. And I didn't even tell my parents, and the school didn't tell my parents. I had to tell my parents afterwards, years after I told them, and it never occurred to me to tell my parents. I don't remember it ever slipping my, like, it didn't really seem like a tangible idea or anything like that. And it never crossed my mind. I don't know why. But I feel like maybe if you just keep asking and asking and asking and asking, like every day ask your kid what happened in school, and maybe do it in a way where you can maybe do it at night time, like right before the kid goes to sleep. Like, try to get them very comfortable, get them in a state where they might actually want to keep you up, because they want to be, because at bedtime, children are very, very vulnerable. Like, they start opening up because they want to keep continuing being awake. They don't want to go to sleep. Usually kids don't want that. So if they can prolong the process, they will try anything. Of course, this could make them tell things that maybe aren't true, but I don't think so. I think they would tell the truth. And maybe try to make them open up. Try to ask them questions. Maybe try to dig a little bit. And, use interrogation methods. Like, try to go online and Google interrogation methods and use it on your kid. Like, ask them stuff just to find out, because I feel like that's maybe necessary, because you're gonna have an introverted kid, and it's maybe good to find ways to make them open up to you, make them tell you what happened, and because they will not tell you. And it's not because they don't trust you, it's just that it just doesn't occur to them. For whatever reason, they feel like they have to go with it alone for whatever. I don't know. I've been there, and I can't tell you why. I didn't trust, like, I don't think it was because I had trust issues when it came to my parents. It just didn't occur to me. And I also got a basketball thrown into my face, and my nose started bleeding, and I think I broke my nose because my nose is crooked as fuck. And I don't know if that was when that happened, but still, after that happened, I went home and I didn't speak to my parents about it, and the school didn't either. But, whatever I felt like that back then, I can't, I don't understand. Because I would tell my parents anything today. Like, if anything happens to me today, I would tell, my mother would be the first one to know. So I don't know why I was so inwarded. Like, so I don't know. I can't make it rational. Like, but maybe just try to ask your kid as much as possible, even if they feel like you're being super annoying and super nosy. Just keep going, keep asking, keep showing them that there's a safe space for them to tell you anything. And maybe poke at certain topics, like ask about the other classmates, how they treat your kid. Like, yeah. With the Six of Pentacles, I think, like, when it comes to you, I think they will have, they won't really have anything bad to say about you. As I've said before, they won't have any criticism towards you. I think they will actually see you as a very good provider, someone who always made sure that all the practical things were taken care of, and that they were always equipped and prepared for anything, and that everything was in order. So with the Six of Wands reversed, yeah, again, it has the kind of the same theme as Seven of Wands reversed, because it's like, I think that the only thing that they would talk about with a therapist is that they felt like they weren't popular in school, that they never really felt like they fit in school settings, that they always felt like they were good at school, but never good at making friends at school. That they went to school, they had good relationships with the teachers, and that the teachers liked them, and that they also came prepared, which the teachers liked, but the other kids might not have liked that. And so there could be some jealousy involved too, that if you have a kid who is naturally good at school, that is like putting a target on their back, sadly. Like sometimes it's actually good to neglect the homework sometimes, because it might help them, you know, socially. But, you know, because nobody likes an overachiever and nobody likes to have competition. And sometimes kids can be very jealous when someone in the class gets praise or gets too much attention from the teacher. It's like, yeah, it's fuel to the jealousy. Like it's so. Of course, I'm not saying that you should neglect your future kids' homework. You should keep going, but of course, maybe don't over prepare them, or maybe you should. I don't know, but like. Yeah, maybe don't have too much of an academical approach to your kids' homework when they are in middle school. Then maybe it's not necessary to talk to them about certain concepts or certain things that are way too high for their level, or you know, it might be a high enough level for them to comprehend, and they might understand it. And so it's maybe okay to introduce them to that early on, because they can take it. And you shouldn't limit the child just because the child might get unpopular just because of you over teaching them or over educating them. But maybe teach them stuff at home and tell them that it's okay to, you know, talk about this at home, and maybe even like write about this in written assignments or stuff like that, where you're more private with your teacher. But don't tell it to the whole class. Like, don't say it in front of the whole class, because then you're going to get unpopular or whatever. I don't know if that's a good idea, because of course you would want the kid to succeed, and you don't want to teach them that there are certain things that they are supposed to keep to themselves just because other people can get jealous of them. Like that's maybe not the way to go. I don't know how to fix bullying. I think kids are always going to be mean no matter what you do. I don't know. With the Four of Swords, well, with the Four of Swords and King of Swords reversed, there might be a little bit of criticism here. A little bit. It's very small. And it's, again, it would be something your kid would say to this hypothetical therapist, not a real one. And they would maybe say that they feel like you might have over-prepared them for school and taught them things that were too difficult for them to comprehend, but they comprehended it anyways. They understood, but that they might have felt like you were making them into an overachiever, maybe because you felt like when you were a child, you didn't have parents who tried to, you know, prepare you for school or help you with your homework, and maybe your kid will feel like you are overcompensating for what you didn't have, and maybe that you're maybe going to be living through your child a little bit academically, where you might feel like, or your kid might feel like in the future that when he or she, I feel like it's a he, but when he looks at his parent, who is you, of course, that he's going to think of you as someone who didn't achieve the things that you could have achieved, that you had high potential and always had, but that you might have settled for something a little bit more practical, or something that wasn't living up to the full potential as you could have, and that when you got a child, that you were maybe trying to force this dream on the child, the dream that you didn't get to achieve because you had limited resources or limited opportunities or something like that. I don't know. So maybe be aware of that when you have a child, or when you're raising your future child, that maybe think about their dream, or what they want to accomplish, or what they want to do, instead of, especially if you see something in them, like maybe you can see from the beginning, like maybe you will notice that they are extremely smart. And you want to keep, forcing that, because you want them to be as smart as possible. You want them to live up to their fullest potential. But maybe listen to your child, or ask your child, because it doesn't really matter if you listen, because they are not going to say this directly. But if you ask and keep asking them what their dream is, what do they want to do in the future, what would be their dream future for them, like what could they see themselves doing. I know it's very hard to ask a child that, because the child will have a lot of different things, and it won't really be coherent, and it will be a little bit all over the place. But make sure that they have the same ambitions as you have for them, so that you don't get into a conflict on maybe them feeling like they are expected to do one thing and only one thing, even though they might want to do something completely different. But I still feel like you're doing the right thing by, forcing this, because, I feel like it's because you can see potential in them. And I think it's okay if you see your kid having like a great talent. Of course, you want to make them embrace that. You want to encourage that as much as possible. I don't see a problem in that, but maybe ask them if they are enjoying it, and if they are not enjoying it, maybe ease down a little bit. So yeah, but I think that's all I have for you, group number 3. I hope this reading was whatever, helpful, or I don't know. I hope you can use it for something, but yeah, if you want a personal reading from me, then check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 4. You chose the Wandering Star Tarot deck, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 4, the people who will choose group number 4? What will group number 4's future children tell their therapist about group number 4? Okay, I'm sensing that your future children will be talking about your butterfly mind, that you have a tendency to jump from one thing to the other, and that you don't finish things that you start, and that this will be something that your future children will feel like affected them in their childhood, that they will feel like they were taught in their childhood that it was okay to jump ship, that it was okay to stop something if it didn't serve you anymore. Like, and that's a good thing to teach your children. I feel like there's nothing bad about that. You shouldn't just stay in something that you hate just because you started it. Because we can all make mistakes and we can all make bad decisions. And it's okay, and it's good to teach your children that, well, you can change your mind about things. You don't have to stay and stick to your first decision. Yeah. But yeah, maybe they will feel like they were taught to just leave when going gets tough. And well, yeah, but why not? You know, I'm not really seeing the problem, even though I know what the problem is. But I feel like this is also like they can, like, I think it's also very easy for children to blame their parents for their own shortcomings and being like, oh yeah, that's just my parents' fault because they taught me that it was okay to drop out of university, and that, you know, that, yeah, but it is also okay. But of course, if you want to stick to it, like, then that is also your own responsibility, and you can't blame your parents for dropping out because that was something you did. And you can tell your children that they can't keep blaming you, you know. But well, of course, yeah, maybe yeah, but yeah, they will tell their therapist that they feel like this is something that they inherited socially from you, to have a tendency to lose interest in things very quickly, and lose focus and lose motivation, and wanting to jump to something new and starting, and that is, yeah, that might be valid, you know, because maybe you are that way. And yeah, I think there are two sides to this, because yeah, they might see it as you losing interest, but in my mind, from my eyes, and I might be a little bit biased because I am this way too, but from my perspective, it's more like gaining interest in something else. Like, I'm not losing interest in the thing that I'm doing right now. I'm just gaining more interest in something else. So I have to jump over to that because, you know, it's just it has caught my interest more. You know, is it so bad? You know, I don't know. But yeah, maybe your future children will feel like they that they would have wanted to play the piano and keep playing it until they were Mozart or something. But you know, that that there might have been like this, like, and yeah, so you can take this into account now. Like, you can think about it when you have children, or if you already have children, you can think about this when you're raising your child, that, well, it could be okay to force them into doing things, but this is maybe something that they would tell their therapist about you if you did that. So that would maybe be something they would complain about. So, you know, you can never win, but yeah, they, like, if they want to play the piano and they ask you if they can go to piano classes, and you say yes, you can go to piano classes, and they then start complaining because the piano classes are too early in the morning on a Sunday or something, and that it is somehow, you know, a little bit inconvenient for them, and they don't want to go because of that, then you could tell them that they should do it, that you could force them to do it, and you could keep forcing them even though they stop feeling interested in it and they start seeing it as a chore, and to the point where they will hate it. You can keep going. You can keep, what's it called? Like when you whip them, like you can whip them into like wanting to go, like, or whatever. Like you can try to force them, but you could end up making them hate it more than anything else. And I don't think that's a good motivational factor either. And I think it's good to listen to your children. If they, like, of course, if it's just because it's inconvenient for them, then maybe you can tell them that they are that they are acting like a spoiled brat, and that they should, maybe, suck it up, But if it's actually because they don't care anymore and they really don't want to go, or like that they might not like the teacher or whatever, like that, then those are valid reasons not to keep continuing. Like, shouldn't always just keep continuing just because you started something. And I feel like that's maybe something that your future children will criticize you for, that maybe you didn't keep going, like keep making them go to things, or make like that you were a little bit too soft on them. But maybe, like, taking your kids to piano classes could also be like an inconvenience to you too. So if they feel like it's an inconvenience, if they don't want to go, then it's very tempting to just say, okay, well, then we don't have to go, and I don't have to wake up early every Sunday. So it's a win-win, Like but it's very tempting, and I could understand why anybody would do that. Like I would understand that, but yeah, I feel like your future children would be nitpicking though. Like if they when they go to therapy, I'm not even sure if they. Like, I feel like they would go to therapy. I think they would, because I am getting a lot of information here. And there was, like, I had a problem with group number 3, that it really didn't seem like their future children would go to therapy. And that was mostly because that child was very shy and wasn't the type of person who would go to therapy. But every child would benefit from therapy, and I would always encourage everyone to go to therapy. I went to therapy, and like I have gone to therapy many times, in like both when I was younger, like when I was a child, but also later in life. And I think therapy is something very universal. Like that's something we all should be doing, like in some way, because I think it's important to go through things that we have experienced. But of course, sometimes, like I've also experienced this in therapy, where I felt like I was talking about something and it came out as if it was a problem, but it really wasn't. And I feel like this is the type of problem that I feel like your future children will describe this as a problem, but I feel like they will also, like later in life, they will maybe feel like they were a little bit too hard on you in that therapy session, that they were maybe blaming you for something that they were more annoyed with themselves for, like something that they felt sensitive about at that point, and where they needed to have someone to blame for it in order to cope with it. And it's okay. Like sometimes it's easier to cope if it's not completely your fault. Like, if it can be, shared blame, it can be easier to sometimes, consume something if it's divided into two, and then we can, consume the other part later, but sometimes we need to have it for consumption at 1 year, and then like maybe 5 years later we are ready to consume the other part. But if that makes sense, I don't know if it makes sense, but okay, so yeah. Well, with the temptation, or like, the temperance, I don't know why I called it temptation. That's very far from what it actually is. But it's it's the complete opposite, actually. So, but with temperance, well, it could be a part of that. That they were like they might complain a little bit that they were not taught temperance, moderation, that they were maybe taught to, follow your feelings more, like follow, like if something feels good, you should keep doing it. If something feels bad, you should avoid it. Like that sort of sentiment. And maybe they will feel like you were the one that was teaching them this sentiment, and that this is also, true. I feel like forcing a child to do something just for the sake of doing it, I don't feel like it's always necessarily that productive. Of course, you should force your kid to do homework and stuff like that, but forcing your kid to do something that is not really necessary, something that's more like, ego lifting, like, I know that's a gym term, but where it's more like doing something just for the sake of, showing how impressive you are. And I feel like that is sometimes the case with certain parents who only use their kids as like something that an extension of themselves, where they feel like they have to make them like a prodigy and make them extremely good at an instrument, or make them extremely good at math or something, where it's like more of a parent project more than it is a child project. And of course, yeah, if you grow up with parents who don't do that, then you are very privileged. I didn't I was privileged in that way, because my parents didn't try to make me like some kind of show pony at all. Like, they weren't trying to force anything through. Like, if I wanted to do something, they usually said that I could just do it on my own if I wanted to. Like, they didn't really feel like they had to butt in and try to make me or force me to do something. And I'm grateful for that. But yeah, I had some years when I was like 20 or something, where I felt like, why don't I have like a skill or something? Like, why don't I have some kind of special talent, something that was, something that was homegrown, by my parents, where my parents forced me to play the violin or something, like, where I felt like other people had that, and I was envying them for having that. But now when I look back at it now, I feel like, well, it's it's good that I didn't have it. I don't think I was missing out on anything, honestly. But yeah, I think, yeah, this is something, this is a phase that I think your future child will, or your future children will go through, where they will feel like they might not have like something that makes them unique, or something that they trained very hard on to the point where they became like a professional at it from an early age. Because there are certain things that you have to do from you're like a child, where if you go into the game too late, it's like you don't have a chance. Like, for instance, like acting, or like dancing, or like, you know, I don't know, stuff like that. It does have that stigma of not being for adults. Like, you have to have some experience from you're very young, and of course they might, like, I feel like maybe your future children will feel like they missed out on that in some way, that certain things could have maybe been for them if they had tried it out earlier, or if their parents had forced them to be like, you know, child stars or something like that. But nobody wants that. Like, truly nobody wants that. But of course, yeah, I think we all thought, like, why not though? Like, I think I had that thought at some point as well. Like, again, it was when sorry, and now I can't talk, but it was when why? I'm not supposed to say this. Okay, so this is a sentence that I'm not supposed to say. I don't know why this is supposed to be a secret, but I'm gonna keep it secret if it's not supposed to come out. So yeah, but I guess your future children will feel like they were not exploited, and in a way they will feel sad about that, which is a little bit funny, you know. But you know, again, it's I think it's a general feeling. I think a lot of people feel that way at some point. So yeah. Especially in this day and age where everybody's on TikTok, and everybody, like, I could imagine that this is going to be a problem within the next like 10 years, or like maybe even now, you know, where children might feel like all their classmates are on TikTok, and why are my parents not exploiting me on TikTok as well, you know. It's a little bit of a strange, you know, reality we live in right now. But, you know, it is what it is. I can't really say anything bad about that, you know, because... But, yeah. I'm not on TikTok, you know, but I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out on TikTok. I don't know. I don't think so, but yeah, whatever. I wasn't gonna talk about that, but that's the hypocrisy. Yeah, like, you know, that's what I was trying to say. But I'm gonna read this card here. The Three of Wands reversed. Well, this is, I usually see this particular card in this particular deck as a stalker card when it's upright, because it's a person who has binoculars in her hands. So, you know, she's looking at something, you know, and so with it being reversed, it could have something to do with your future children feeling like they were not stalked by you, that you were maybe not always, you know, looking at their every move. And I think this is a good thing, but I feel like it's maybe also one of those things where your future child or your future children could maybe see this as, you know, something they could complain a little bit about. Again, it's a little bit like nitpicking, because, you know, nobody wants to be stalked, and nobody wants to be stalked by their parents either, because, you know, it's a little bit hard to live like like, I don't think they really want it. If they had it, I don't think they want someone to constantly, you know, breathe them down their neck. But I feel like since they didn't have a parent who was breathing them down the neck, they might have felt like that you didn't care enough to breathe them down their neck, and always have your eyes on them all the time, and that this was maybe like in their mind a sign of disinterest or no interest in what they were doing all the time, which is maybe also true, because a parent is maybe not always interested in what their child is doing all the time. Sometimes they're just playing with Legos, and it's not always the main event that the child is playing with Legos, you know. You don't always have to engage. You don't always have to ask them, "Oh, what are you building?" Even though it's good, you know, it's good to do sometimes, you know. But if you do it all the time, I feel like that wouldn't be good either. Again, I'm not. I don't know if I'm the right person to do this reading, really, because I don't have children. I was a child at once. That's my only reference here. Of course, I have spirit as a reference. That helps. But, you know, I feel like maybe I'm not really seeing the issue. And maybe I'm supposed to. But yeah, I feel like your future child or your future children will live a very privileged life. They will have a good life, because I'm really sensing a lot of good things here. I think it's a very good sign that the only things that your future children will complain about is something very, is it called arbitrary, or is it just called trivial? I don't know. I don't know if arbitrary is the right word. I don't think so. I think that means something different. But trivial, I'm going to say trivial, but that it doesn't really sound like real problems. I feel like, you know, well, it's not like, of course, everyone, again, I'm encouraging everyone to go to therapy. And since I do that, then I should also be able to accept that someone would go to therapy and talk about absolutely nothing. You know, that's the name of the game. That's how it's supposed to be. If everybody's going to do it, then of course some people would be doing it and not really having anything to complain about, you know. And that's, you know, that's okay, because everybody can talk about their life even if they have very small issues. They deserve that too. And they deserve to have someone to you know, throw ball with, and, you know, be able to see things from a different perspective. And maybe it could even make them see that there might be another perspective too, that it might even help them understand where you're coming from when they go to therapy, because I think they might not really realize when they go to therapy that you're doing this also because this is well, I don't know, because well, I don't know. I'm not going to go into that because I feel like there's a lot of different scenarios here, a lot of different reasons and stuff like that. But I feel like they are gonna, they are gonna understand the situation a little bit more and see it a little bit more from your perspective. So, and maybe also get a little bit more of a bigger picture of what went on. And yeah. With the Four of Pentacles here, well, I think your future children will be telling their therapist that you were very good at providing stability into their life, that you were always there if they needed something, or if they that they could always go to you and they could always get the attention from you if they sought it out. You were just maybe not really giving it if it wasn't, I think you're very focused on giving, or you're gonna be very focused on giving your future children space to do what they want to do. And maybe, even though this is coming from good intentions, and I think it's also the right thing to do in many ways, I think it's good to just allow your children to have some privacy as well. Like that, it's good that they sometimes can just play in their room and you don't have to, invade their space and be all up in their business. Sometimes sometimes it can be hard to always be monitored and always be, in someone's binoculars. Like that's not a very good way to live. And I think you're going to be giving space because you don't want them to feel like their privacy is violated. And I think they're gonna understand why you do it and why you did it, But that maybe they would have wanted you to maybe be a little bit more up in their business, a little bit more a little bit more like a stalker to them. Like that you were maybe a little bit more, going through their trash and stuff like that. I don't know why, but that it would have made them feel like you were more curious about them or something like that. It would have made them feel like you cared more. And so maybe this could, like, if you have children already, or if you're, and maybe if you don't have children already, then maybe think about this when you have children, that maybe you don't have to give them space all the time. Maybe it's not actually what they want. Maybe you're going to have a kid that is a little bit more extroverted and a little bit more like a showgirl or a show person. That I don't know if that's the worst term to use. I don't know if that has like a different meaning than I wanted it to have. I'm not meaning something like that. But more like maybe your kid is going to be more of an entertainer, and an entertainer needs an audience, and maybe they will want you to be the audience, and so they will maybe want more attention from you, and maybe it's good to give them that. But again, like if you don't give them that, then they're going to be seeking out attention for the rest of their life, which is a good thing because that's going to make them go straight into show business. And so if you give them like overloads of attention when they're young, it might even make them feel like they don't really need to go out on a stage and get attention. So it's like you can't win. Like it's very hard, because sometimes you also have to, expose the child to some kind of, minor trauma in order to build their character, but you also don't want to do that because that's terrible. But there's like it's very hard. Like, but I feel like maybe again, I'm not I don't have children. Obviously, I'm not talking out of experience at all, and I maybe I shouldn't have children because I feel like I'm terrible at this, and I don't know. But the thing I'm getting here, the message I'm getting is straight from your future children. Of course, they are not the best source because they will ask for something, and then if they get the alternative, like scrolling back time, and if they got the alternative, they wouldn't want it. So like they don't know what they want, and they don't know what they would have wanted if they could turn back time. But yeah, maybe give them a little bit more attention, even though it's maybe going to cause them to not go into show business. But then maybe they will be a writer or a screenwriter or like a playwright, something like that instead. And maybe they won't feel the need to go up on a stage. And maybe it will cause them to have less problems with the media and the public and stuff like that. And maybe it will be a win-win, So with the Ace of Swords, I feel like maybe you should laugh more at your children's jokes. This is maybe yeah, okay. So I feel like your future child or your future children will maybe be complaining to their therapist that you never laughed at their jokes and that you didn't find them funny, and that they were constantly trying to make you laugh, and that they felt like you were always very, very critical. And I understand, because kids are usually not very funny, and they really believe they are. And I feel like this is very endearing, but it's also very hard to fake a laugh and make it, believable. But of course, children will believe anything, so maybe it doesn't have to be believable. But I think this will mean a lot to your future children. When they become an adult, when they look back at it, I think like they will remember the first time they got you to laugh, like the first time they said something so funny that it made you laugh, and they will cherish that memory, and they will complain about it too in some way, because they will complain that it took them so long to actually get you to laugh. But the thing is that if you laugh at their jokes, even though they're not funny, from an early age, then they won't be trying to make it better and better and better in order to actually get you to laugh. So I feel like if you changed your approach to this, you could actually change this core memory into something worth nothing, because I think it's something that will change them, that they will actually remember the day that they conquered you with their humor, it was a conquering. It was like, hiking a mountain, or like getting to a point where they didn't think they would succeed, but then suddenly they did, and then and it took them a lot of hard work to get there. And I think, you know, taking away that journey from them, like why would you do that? It's okay to be critical, and it's okay, like sometimes the kid also needs to work for it. I don't know. Maybe it could even make them like the greatest comedian in the world if you actually were their biggest critic. But again, it could also make them feel like they're worthless in comedy, since they couldn't make you laugh. But maybe just don't laugh at their jokes, but if they get it right in a way that is halfway funny, you know, then laugh anyways. Or like, you know, if you can tell that they actually put in a lot of effort, maybe just give them the laugh. I don't know. Laugh at if it's decent. I mean, if it's a decent joke, then I think you should laugh at it. Give them the satisfaction of that, you know. Even if it's gonna, you know, fuck with their curve, like their growing curve in comedy. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so I think that's all I have for you. Group number 4. I hope this reading was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 5. You chose the Alcohol Tarot, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 5, the people who will choose group number 5? What will group number 5's future children tell their therapist about group number 5? What will they tell their therapist about group number 5 as a parent? What will they tell their therapist about their childhood? If they won't go to therapy, then this question is hypothetical. If they went to therapy, what would they say about group number 5 as a parent? Okay, I'm sensing that your future children would tell their therapist that they grew up with 2 parents that were polar opposites, and that this caused them to feel a little bit uneasy sometimes, that they felt like they didn't really know what was okay and what wasn't, because they always got 2 very different answers from you and the other parent. So I'm sensing a little bit of a good cop and bad cop dynamic that your future children would talk about, that they felt like you were the bad cop and that the other parent was the good cop, and that you always had to be, you know, the party pooper, the one that had to be the rational one, the practical one, the one that shot down the bad ideas that were not good for them. Like, and yeah, I think your future children would tell their therapist that when they were younger, when they were a child, they had to like if they wanted ice cream, they would go to you and you would say no, and then they would go to their other parent and they would say yes. And this made them feel like they didn't really know they didn't really know who to listen to, like, because they knew that if they listened to the other parent, they would still get in trouble for that. But I feel like they, like, this is nitpicking, by the way. Like, I feel like your future children won't really have that much to talk about at a therapy session, and so this is the worst thing that they can talk about, and so it's not very bad. I feel like this is a dynamic that is very common. It's very common to have one parent who always says yes and one parent who always says no. So it's not like this is terribly traumatic for the child. So it's very common. But of course, it can still, I'm not invalidating this. It can still be hard to navigate through, and it might be something that it could be a good idea for you to have this conversation with the person that you're going to have these children with, to come to some kind of common grounds and maybe communicate this to your future spouse or your future partner, that this is maybe something you want to avoid, that you want to be in some kind of agreement when it comes to your parenting techniques, that it doesn't really serve anyone if you're having two completely different parenting techniques all at once. Then you're just, sort of, it's kind of counterintuitive, and it's better to work together. And so this could be something that you could communicate with your future partner about. And if you already have children with someone, then maybe have this conversation with them so that you can raise these children in a way that doesn't make them feel like I feel like they're gonna maybe describe this in a little bit of a dramatic way, that they're going to describe it as them feeling like they had a little bit of split personality growing up, even though they didn't. But it's kind of like they felt like they had two role models, and these two role models were polar opposites. So they felt like when they were with one of them, they had to be one person, and when they were with the other, they had to be another person. And so this is, so in a way, like, I wouldn't call it split personality. I would call it that they adjusted their personality to each parent to make each parent happy. And so, but have that conversation with the person that you're going to have these children with. Make sure that you're in agreement, and so I feel like there's nothing wrong with finding a partner that's your polar opposite, as long as you just agree somewhat on parenting. Like, that you can disagree on anything else, like everything else, really, because it feels like parenting is an important thing to agree on. So, yeah. I'm also sensing something about your future children talking about, like, you being very, very smart, that you were a very smart parent. And you're still going to be, like, when they have this conversation with their therapist, nothing has changed. This is just how they would describe you in their childhood. They would describe you as the smart parent in the child. Like, so maybe you're going to find someone who, so your future partner, I'm not saying that this person is gonna be dumb, or like, I don't think so. I feel like you're gonna choose someone who's more happy-go-lucky, someone who's a little bit more, you know, everything goes type, like the Hakuna Matata type, I guess. And I don't think, I don't know if, yeah, maybe you're going to be the smart one, yes. I feel like you're going to be the smart parent, the one that's more focused on education and making sure that your children learn, and that they learn that they can also see education as something fun as well. Like that you're maybe going to try to make it a game for them, that you're going to make it fun to learn, and that this is something that you're going to be very good at. And I think you're also going to succeed at making them want to learn. And like, so, but I feel like maybe, like, this is like a small piece of criticism, but I feel like they would maybe complain a little bit about the fact that they always had fun with you when it was educational. They never had fun with you just for the sake of fun. That you were very good at making it into like learning, that they needed to learn something from having fun. That if they were playing a game, it was most like that the game had to be some kind of learning game, or like something that they could learn math from, or learn languages, or learn something about the world or animals or something like that. And maybe they would have just wanted something a little bit more silly or goofy, and where they were allowed to just like have a little bit of dumb fun with you, like something that wasn't meant to expand their horizon. I'm going to shuffle and see what the cards have to say, because I'm like, I'm sensing something here, and that is that I think your future children will also talk about you as someone who was maybe a little bit too smart for your own good in some way. And I don't know why it would be for your, like, too smart for your own good. I feel like that's a little bit dramatic again, but maybe maybe this is about depression, or that you were worrying too much in their childhood, that they might have felt like you were that you, I don't know, that you were maybe also a little bit too smart for the relationship that you were in. That if, and again, maybe, like, this is coming from your future children, so I feel like I can say this without this being, well, again, I don't want you to turn on your future children because of this, and I don't really see the reason to, but I feel like they might see you as, yeah, I think they would actually explain it as that you were the smart parent, and that their other parent was their dumb parent. A little bit. Like, I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I think I don't think the person that you're going to have these children with are going to be, like, I don't think this person is dumb. But I think this person might have a tendency to make bad decisions, and this person might have a tendency to do things without really thinking beforehand, like that, and maybe talk before thinking. And this person seems a little bit impulsive, and they might be a little bit naive, but very pure-hearted. But they might not, like sometimes they might get into some trouble because they don't really see what's going on right in front of them. Like, I feel like there's going to be some fights that your future children will be witnessing in their childhood, where they will witness you and your future partner have very heated conversations about maybe finances, and practical things, maybe fights about business ideas that your future partner might have, where they will want you to be supportive of them, but you're gonna be very skeptical because you're the smart one, and you're gonna be the smart one, and so you're gonna be able to see through certain ideas that kind of sound like pyramid schemes, that this is maybe gonna make you, like, yeah, I feel like there's just going to be some, I don't know why this is coming through, like this is very specific. I feel like it's not going to be for all of you, but yeah, I feel like there's maybe going to be some times where you're going to have to be the grown-up who's going to say to your future partner that no, don't use all our savings on something stupid, like something that sounds shady and sounds like a scam, and this is not a good idea. And of course, I know that many of you probably think right now that you would never want to be in a relationship with someone like that, and maybe you're not even going to be, I don't know if you're going to stay in a relationship with this person for that long. And I hate to say that, because of course you're like, if you're going to have children with this person, you would want this relationship to last forever, and maybe it could, but I feel like many of you would probably divorce this person. And the problem is that then there's going to be the whole, like, living two places, like where the child will be living with you, and then they will go to the other parent like half the time, or maybe every other weekend or whatever, and that this could be like the reason why this could make sense in terms of why your future children will feel a little bit split, like that they have split personality, because they might have lived one life with you and one completely different life with the other parent, where they felt like everything was allowed, everything was possible, everything was like everything was free at the other parent's house. And then when they got home to you, you were very structured and wanted them to learn, wanted them to do their homework, and probably also had to, compensate for the other parents' lack of ability to help them with their homework. So you had probably doubled the amount of homework that like after they had been visiting the other parent. And like there's a lot of, I said visiting, that's not the right word, it's more like living with them, but I think there's gonna, like, yeah, this can all be avoided though, in some way, because you can choose, like, or it can't be avoided if you already have children with this person. Then yeah, that ship has sailed, and I get that. But if you are single without without children, if you're single without children, then if you meet someone, if you start dating someone and they sound very much like this, if they sound like a person who's very happy-go-lucky and very free-spirited and want everything to just be free and everything goes, and Hakuna Matata, like there are a lot of, I dated someone who had Hakuna Matata as their description on their Tinder profile. I should have known, you know, that yeah, it didn't go well. I didn't I stopped dating that person. But I should have told myself like I should have known that this person was a pothead, like that, obviously, like it. But yeah, maybe look for the subtle signs. Even they're not subtle, but look for any signs that might tell you that this person is gonna be difficult to co-parent with, because you can tell right away. Like if you like, you can even ask them like before you have children with them, like what they expect from parenthood, or like what they would do as a parent, how they imagine themselves in the parental role, what parental techniques they would use, and stuff like that. And if you can tell that it's not gonna correlate very well with what you expect you to do, then maybe don't have children with this person, because it could be a little bit of a mess, you know. But again, opposites attract, and there is maybe a good thing in children living two lives. I don't know, like that. Like it could be the best of both worlds. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Like, but maybe keep in mind that if you have children with this person, that there is a likelihood that you're not gonna make it as a couple, because having children might split you apart, because you're gonna disagree so much, and you're gonna have so many fights about you feeling like you always have to be the bad cop, and that you always have to, you know, take care of their mess when they fuck up. And that there's gonna be a lot of those conversations that are also gonna affect the children, where you're gonna feel like this affects the children too much, that you want to, that you feel like the only outcome, or the only good outcome, would be if you divorced them. Like that it's not good to have the children in that battlefield. And I feel like there's I don't know if this reading is too negative for some of you. I feel like it could be a little bit of a warning for some of you. And if you already have children with this person, I feel like it's not like the ship has sailed necessarily. Like, you can still have this conversation with them. Tell them that it's not good for the children to have this, like, have these two worlds. That it's maybe good that you have some common grounds, that you do some of the same things, and that you both have the same structure for the children, so that the children doesn't grow up in some kind of duality where they don't really know how to navigate through it, because it's like because they get mixed signals, because I don't know. But I'm gonna shuffle and see what the cards have to say about this, about what your future children will be telling their therapist about you. Okay, so the first card that came through was the Page of Daggers reversed, and it's Page of Pentacles reversed. And I feel like they will see you, or they will tell their therapist, the way that they will talk about their perception of you with their therapist is that like the page of Pentacles, when it's upright, it's about someone who has something in their hands, but it's really not in their grasp. It's it's a pentacle, but but it's not in their immediate grasp. Like it's on the tips of their hand. And when it's reversed, when this card is reversed, it's more. It's a lot more grounded. It's a lot more in the hands, and there is more of a grasp. But the grasp is maybe a little bit too harsh, to the point where I feel like maybe your future children will be siding a little bit with the other parent. And this makes sense because because the other parent made you into the bad cup. And so, yeah, of course, the children will be siding a little bit more with the good cup, because the good cup allowed them to do anything when they were children. And the good cup was all about fun and all about let's go out and play and let's go to Disneyland, even though we can't afford it. And like all of that. And you were there like shooting down the ideas and telling your partner that it's not a good idea, and that you're going to be the one, the party pooper one, and the boogeyman, and of course there will be some of that too when they go. Like this is something that they would talk through in therapy, and I think they would actually get more perspective after going to therapy if they went to therapy. Like I'm not sure if your future children will be going to therapy, but if they did, I think they would actually get more of an understanding of how hard this was for you to also have to play this role when maybe this role doesn't even come naturally to you. Maybe you're the one that is all about fun, actually. Like maybe before you had children, or if you have children now, then it's before you had children. But if you don't have children, then maybe this is how you are right now. Maybe you don't feel like maybe you can't even see yourself in this role at this moment. Like maybe you see yourself as the one who's probably more going to be the good cop, because you feel like that's more like you. Like you're free, you're free-spirited, you like to let children just be children and let them play, and like so maybe this feels foreign to you, and so it's kind of unfair that when you meet the person that you're going to have children with, you're going to be forced into this role that is very foreign to you, that you're not very comfortable in, that you're not comfortable being the party pooper, but you have to be, because if you don't do it, then nobody's going to do it. And so, yeah. With a drunken fool, I'm fairly certain that this is not about you. Even though maybe some of you have struggled with addictions, or one addiction. I don't know why I said in plural. It doesn't have to be in plural. But yeah, you might have had an addiction or something. I don't think this is about that though, because I feel like when you have children, you're going to leave that behind. Like you're going to completely turn a new leaf, and you're not going to go down that road, because you know that is not something that you're going to want to put your children through, maybe because you have experienced that in your childhood, and so you don't want that to, repeat itself. And I get that. But then again, maybe your future children will feel like it kind of did repeat itself anyways, not in you, but in the person that you're going to be having these children with, that you're not going to expose them to it directly by you doing it, but since you're maybe going to choose a partner where maybe at first you didn't really notice that they were in an addiction or struggling with addictions, or that maybe this person is very good at masking it. And so maybe be very, very aware of this when you start dating. If you're single without children right now, then when you start dating someone, look for the subtle red flags, like small things that could tell you that maybe this person does have a tendency to be very impulsive and have behavior that seems very I don't know, because it might not be direct consumption that you're gonna be like, you won't be seeing them drinking or taking drugs at first, because this person might hide that from you. And that's not a good sign, but if it is, of course, maybe it's not that. Maybe this is not the issue. Maybe it's just the fool. Maybe it's not about the drunken fool. So I don't know. And this person is also eating his own foot. So I don't know. That could also be something. Maybe your future children will talk about you being very flexible, or hyper flexible, with double jointedness, or that you're hyper mobile, or something like that. I don't know why they would talk to their therapist about that. It seems like an odd conversation to have, and maybe it has something to do with them struggling with joint pain, and that maybe they will talk about how they inherited that from you. Maybe if you have hypermobility, then that could definitely be something that they will feel is, it is unfair. It's not fun to have joint pains, and it's not. But of course, they can't really blame that on you, though. But I don't know if they will. Okay, so with the Three of Daggers, which is Three of Pentacles, this is about education. It's they will see you as very academically gifted. Maybe someone who, with a Page of Daggers reversed, this also a little bit indicates that maybe your children will talk about you as someone who had a lot higher potential than what you accomplished, that you could have accomplished more in your academical life if you had chosen to go down that road. Maybe you have already chosen something different to do right now, or maybe you will be choosing something different, or maybe it's because you're going to have a family and then you're going to choose to focus on them more than your pursuits in academia. And maybe your future children will feel like you chose them over success, and maybe they will feel like they were to blame for that, even though you're not going to that you're not going to directly blame them for it, but they might feel like they were the ones who was holding you back from your dream. And so maybe think about this when you have children, that like don't talk about your successes or your lack of successes, or don't talk about how you would have dreamed that you had a different life, or like I don't know, maybe try not to put emphasis on what you left behind for their sake, like, because it might make them feel like they ruined your life, you know, by existing, like coming into existence, like. And I feel like this is something that's easy to avoid. Just don't talk about something like that with them or around them or in the next room where they can listen, where they can hear you, because children can hear a lot from a wall. So really pay attention to what you say, even if the children are not in the room. So but this is also kind of a compliment, because your future children will see you as someone who could have achieved a lot more than you did. So also with the Ace of Swords here, this is also telling me that your future children will put a lot of emphasis on your high IQ and talk a lot about how smart you are. And maybe also that it was a little bit hard to live up to your expectations of them, because you maybe I don't know, or maybe they will just feel like they have to be as good as you, and so it might be some expectations that they will put on themselves. That I don't know, but with the Seven of Swords reversed, your future children will talk about you as very non-manipulative. This is a very good thing. That maybe you were too smart for your own good sometimes, but you were never using it as a weapon. It was never weaponized intelligence. Like, you never tried to outsmart anyone, and not even the person that you will have your children with. Like, I feel like your future children will never feel like you tried to outsmart them or tried to like put a trap for them or anything like that. You were just a little bit too honest sometimes, where they felt like maybe your honesty could have been, you know, a little bit more subtle in some way, where you could have maybe tried to say, oh, it's a good idea, but maybe do something else instead, you know, instead of saying directly to them that this is a pyramid scheme and you're being scammed right now, you're being taken advantage of and you should stop what you're doing. Like, that there's maybe a little bit too much of that honesty, and honesty is good, but maybe not in a marriage, not always. Like, so maybe your future children will feel like it was your fault that you, like, if you're going to get divorced with the person that you're going to have these children with, then your future children might blame you for it, even if it might not have been you who made that decision. I don't know. Again, like, you don't, like, I don't know what this. Again, it could. I'm not sure if it's going to end up in divorce, and I don't want to say that, because that's not a good, you know, it's not nice to hear. But if it does, I feel like maybe your future children will feel like it's because you were too honest and that you weren't supportive enough, even though, like, of course you weren't. If you had been supportive, then you would have gone bankrupt, and then the children would have been on the streets and homeless. So yeah, that it's good to be the voice of reason. So I don't know. But yeah, but again, I feel like they don't actually have that much to complain about. Even if, well, maybe the divorce, maybe like if there is going to be a divorce, of course they can complain about that. But I feel like it's not actually going to be such a big thing, that because then I would have felt like that would have been the first thing that they would have been talking about and telling their therapist about. But I feel like that came a lot later in the reading, to the point where I feel like it actually might not have. Maybe that, like, if the divorce happens, I feel like it's going to happen so early that they might not even remember. So, because you're going to realize very quickly that you disagree on parenting, and that you have very different visions for the children, and that this is going to be a deal breaker for you, and maybe also something that, I don't know. I don't know. But maybe be aware of this if you are single and out dating. Try to maybe find someone who is, well, maybe someone who doesn't disagree with you on everything. But yeah. But that's all I have for you, group number 5. I hope this reading was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel, and if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye.